All right. Hey, welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Taking America Camping. This is Tim Meadows with TNS RV and Sport down in Navasota, Texas. We got a special episode today where we are going to have some special guests. We've got Chris and Martha Peters, also known as the Venturesome couple. And Chris and Martha are folks that we have come to know through a couple of different avenues, frankly. They're ambassadors for Alliance RV, and they're full-timing out in their Alliance paradigm. They're coming to us today from somewhere in the sunny state of California. I think he says somewhere near Huntington Beach. But today's focus is really going to be on a joint venture that the Venturesome couple and TNS have gone into with Deemaxx high-performance braking system. And we've got joining us with audio only today, so we're making the most of everything that we can. But we have Troy Teague, who's with Deemaxx, and Troy is in does all the outside sales for Deemaxx. So tell the folks out there, hey, Troy.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? How you doing, Tim?
All right,
thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, glad to do it. And then finally, we have our TNS, our executive director of parts and service, Mr. Matt Cameron, who's going to be here to help us out a little bit with some of the technical stuff, the things that went into the install that we did for Chris and Martha on their paradigm with Troy's Deemaxx braking system. So after that ridiculously long intro, because I'm not good at short form apparently, Chris and Martha, we appreciate you guys coming in, and we can't wait to hear from your side a little bit here about everything that went down with doing this brake conversion.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us on.
Yeah, we're excited, Tim. Thank you. It was a great experience partnering both with you, TNS, and of course Deemaxx.
Well, we appreciate that. So let's jump right into it. So Chris and Martha, tell us a little bit about what it is that you guys do, and whether you've got a couple of special relationships, and then we want to know a little bit about how you guys came into a relationship with Deemaxx that then came toward TNS.
Absolutely. Martha, give us an introduction of what we do.
So we do a little bit of everything. So we've been married almost 25 years, and about 4 years ago, we set on the road to go full-time, leaving the state of Alaska, where I'm from, and Chris was stationed there with the Air Force. And for us, I've lost both of my parents. Chris lost his mom, and they were young when they passed, and we just decided we wanted to go live life and enjoy every moment. And we just kind of want to document it, and we love the RV community. So what we like to do is we aligned ourselves with Alliance RV as brand ambassadors, but it was organically how we came to fit with them. And we're at a lot of the rallies and gatherings and the community.
Yeah, we ordered our first Alliance in the beginning of, actually the end of 2021.
No, March of 21.
See, that's why she's here. She's got to keep me in line, guys.
Right, man.
So March of 21, we ordered our first Alliance and attended a rally and just felt like it was a growing company. We were growing on the social media side, and it was just kind of a organic partnership that made sense because we were both in the infancy of what we do, and their community was amazing. So our first toy hauler was wonderful. Then we doubled down, got a fifth wheel, a traditional fifth wheel. Then we had the little travel trailer. Now we're back into a bigger fifth wheel, doing the full-time RV life. And then Deemaxx kind of happened by coincidence. We were partnering with Moride to do independent suspension about, I guess, 3 years ago. And they had a different brand braking system at the time. Moride did. Moride reached out to us and said, hey, we were using this new company, Deemaxx. Are you interested? I said, sure. So we went back up to Elkhart, Indiana, and they switched out our braking system to Deemaxx, and then we instantly fell in love with just the quality, the customer service, our experience. It was excellent. So when we had sold that trailer and went over to our travel trailer, didn't have Deemaxx brakes. So we ran into them at the Tampa RV show. Actually, we didn't really run into them. We seeked them out.
Yeah.
So we're also friends with Brian and Tina Jones and To Go, and we camp with them. They're Keystone brand ambassadors, and we're Alliance RV brand ambassadors. Right. And it's funny because every year we seem to camp with them, so we started spending more time with them. And we've spent time with Brian and Tina in Indiana, and we just talked about Deemaxx brakes. It's like, what do you do when you're outside and you just talk about the different things and upgrades?
Right. And so Brian and Tina made the introduction with Troy and the rest of the Deemaxx team, and we started a dialogue saying, hey, at the time we were looking at doing it on our travel trailer, which nobody was doing disc on the little travel trailers. And then as soon as we got the new trailer, we reached back out to Deemaxx and said, hey, we have this really innovative suspension that they put on here, but it has drum brakes. And with us having prior experience with Deemaxx disc and then going to a factory drum, we instantly noticed the difference and honestly the safety concerns that I had. So we just started that dialogue of how do we upgrade this and how do we get everybody to know how great the product is.
Right. Well, that all makes sense. We've done disc brake conversions at TNS for the better part of 10 years. And we've seen different companies and different products come to bear. But one thing has always been undeniable, and that is that there is an extreme value and a huge performance difference between your standard electric drum brake system on trailers. And then when we take that and we convert it over to a more of what we consider to be a conventional braking system, conventional in the automotive term, or in the automotive context anyway, we see a huge performance difference, and we're going to cover some of that a little bit because I know that we had some data driven stuff that was not it was empirical created. We did some testing on your unit with frankly what is in the stock trailer braking space, probably the most advanced system out there with Lippert's new anti-lock brake system. But when we saw the huge difference that it made after the conversion was done, I think that we're going to make a very compelling case for a whole lot of people out there that this really is the way to go. So Matt, let me grab you in here real quick. And for anybody that's listening that just really doesn't have much of a baseline of an understanding, can you give us just from your vast experience from the production side of things, with a traditional electric drum brake system, just kind of give us the nuts and bolts of that, and then we'll have Troy do kind of a point counterpoint with you on what they offer at Deemaxx with their disc brake system as an upgrade.
It's just the reaction time of electronics to magnets, and the available stopping power that's involved in that. Just you can see night and day difference. It's something that Troy may be able to go into the details on what he's seen spec wise, but the apples are oranges when it comes to reaction time for stopping. Sure.
So, and I think that just is, and Troy, I'm about to have you give us some of those nuts and bolts, but the bigger the unit, the bigger the schism that seems to happen there. It's basic physics. Even a guy like me, who's not a mathematician by any stretch of the imagination, can start to feel that difference. So Troy, if you would, man, give us the rundown on Deemaxx. A little bit about the history of the company, the guys that are involved, and what it is that you guys are doing with this product to bring some innovation into the space.
Sure. Yeah. So our owner, Chuck DeGear, he's been in the trailer brake industry for 30 plus years. He was the vice president of Kodiak for about 15 years, and then he ended up starting his own company, and it's grown from there. And Deemaxx they're always looking to improve all the time. We're always looking to make things better. We don't like the status quo. Our customer service is what we pride ourselves on as well. But as far as the technical things that make us above and beyond other companies, well, number one, we're the number one U.S. brake for the U.S. military. I'm not sure you realize that, but the lion's share of the military, boat traders, the military, Coast Guard, Border Patrol, they all have Deemaxx brakes on them. Yeah, like you said, the drum brakes is really old technology. So there's that you can look at your disc brakes, check your pads. You can see, do I need to change them? I need to put new pads on. With drum brakes, you got to put all that off, so you don't know unless you actually pull them apart.
That's right.
and Matt was talking about the stopping power. Our brakes, disc brakes in general, are going to have better stopping power because of the friction, and then there's also the response time with our pump. Our pump's response time beats the other ones on the market. Our calipers are about 28% thicker than the competition, so that gives you also more stopping power and more even brake wear. Our rotors, they have holes in the hat, so it dissipates heat better because it can get really hot in there, and it stays cooler, even cooling.
Yeah, so I got to tell you, man, that was actually, you mentioned that we might not know about the military. When you and I first actually got on the phone and talked, when this project started to kind of come about, like that was the only thing I knew about you guys. Frankly, was that the introduction that I had from another party was that Deemaxx was the essentially the sole provider of brakes for military trailers, and then you gave me the explanation that was mainly on the boat trailers and stuff that the military's running. So it's really an interesting tidbit on kind of the history of the company and allowing the company to develop at a rate with quality standards that we know are going to be exceedingly high, right? Because it's not going to pass all the government muster in order to be able to be applied onto those military vehicles. So, I mean, I went into it with a built-in vote of confidence, so to speak, in what the product was going to do based on what the military would provide.
Right, and there's a pretty rigorous testing for the military to accept it. And they want to break it apart, pull it apart. They do all kinds of. So that led into us passing their test, and then we passed a lot of the other braking tests, the SAE, the link test, QAI brake test. There's another one for the salt test for corrosion. We passed that as well, and we also passed the CSA test with the MORride suspension. So if now an OEM, if a RV has a MORride suspension, it will have our brakes on it because they had to test that as a whole system, and in order to get into Canada.
Yeah.
So that's we just we're always improving all the time.
Well, that's awesome. So let's go now. So I've heard a lot of things in this right away that jump out at me, and a lot of it is the congruence. It's a word that I tend to probably overuse, Troy, but it between TNS as an entity and Deemaxx as an entity, that focus on service, that focus on making sure that we stand behind the things that we do daily. That was where I thought, and I told you in our first conversation, like, I don't know that I could come up with a better fit for either of us, and we're really looking forward to the next, kind of the evolution of this relationship, and really thankful for Chris and Martha being willing to trust or entrust their project with TNS. So let's get into that. Chris and Martha, you guys, we were able to kind of bring all the different players to the chessboard, and work out quite a bit of logistics between catching you guys moving through our part of the world, and then to be able to get you and your unit to TNS, and get Troy and his team and all the parts to TNS at the same time. And then we coupled all of that together with our guy that we all love here, Chris Parker. So shout out to Parker in the back who actually does our brake installs. But Chris and Martha, I just kind of give it to you for a little bit here and let you kind of tell us a little bit about the experience. Just your front to back and anything that you felt like was something that stood out to you during that process.
Well, what stood out really for us happened prior to actually any of it coming together. So as soon as we heard from Deemaxx that we were going to have the opportunity to work with TNS, we had started out talking about it in our local internal community and found out that two of our very close friends have actually bought two different fifth wheel toy haulers from TNS, and they were raving about their experience, the customer service, the professionalism, the follow through. So we knew walking into it, we already had experience with Deemaxx personally, and then hearing it from people that we trusted in our community, we knew we were in good hands to start with.
Well, that's good to hear. Right, Matt?
Yeah, and
That's great to hear. Love it.
And then bringing it all together, as you mentioned, was definitely a logistical challenge, right? We're coming out of Florida, but we're full-timers, so we're on the road. Of course, you got Deemaxx up in the northern part of Texas, and then we met, I would say, kind of South Texas for it. And it was a really good experience from our perspective in what really, again, shout out to Chris Parker, right?
Right.
From the moment we got started, there was a problem. And it wasn't your guys' fault. It wasn't Deemaxx's fault. The information that we were given by Lippert didn't match when it came to our stud size. So we had to put our heads together from the minute we started and go MacGyver and figure out, okay, how do we get this going? Because we have everybody here. Once we got that figured out, it was a smooth sailing. Chris is very thorough and a hilarious guy when you actually get him to talk.
Yeah, I told you, if you can get him to talk, you'll love him. The first word comes at a heavy price, but then he's good from there for sure. You know, so what we had set up was you guys came in on, I think it was on a Wednesday afternoon.
Right.
And that Wednesday was a lot like today, right? Where it just felt like, man, one thing after another, nothing was working right. If I remember right, you guys were battling the weather coming from Crystal Beach.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of heavy rain.
It was a little later in the day that you got here. But we had set up and told you, like, no, there's no need to go get an RV park spot or something like that.
Right.
We'll get you guys set up here. You can spend the night. That way everybody's fresh. You don't have to worry about, pulling in a spot, unhooking for the night, or hooking back up, breaking camp. We could just handle all that here on site. And so Troy, Chris mentioned we had the stud size fiasco, which immediately that's where a guy like Parker comes in for us, because he knows where every little extra nut, bolt, or goofy size washer that we've had in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
He knows exactly where they are. And so now I'll tell full disclosure, I wasn't here on the day of the actual install. Our trip to Nashville came together right there at the last second. And so there was a little bit of a mad dash and a scramble, but Parker was able to be resourceful enough to get us on the right studs. And I think that everybody jumped in. Everybody with a hammer or mallet and two working arms was working to get studs secured and get them set up. But then, so Matt, if you would, kind of just give us a little bit of the background or a little explanation on the difference in the way that we at TNS do these types of installs compared to kind of what the industry standard has become.
Well, and one of the nice things about having Parker do the install, we use a train the trainer scenario. So if you go to a Bryan location or a Navasota location, you're going to get the same install no matter what.
Right.
It's all going to come just like he did. And the goal is doing it as clean as possible and protecting it as much as possible. So having all the lines ran inside the underbelly, nothing mounted to the bottom, nothing zip tied to cross members, axles. It's all clean. It's all you're going to see is the lines that drop out of the underbelly and drop straight to the brakes themselves. So, just doing the job the same way at each location is very important to us.
Sure. And so Troy,
that's great.
Go ahead. I was going to get you to kind of chime in on that, because you've seen a lot of different people install these types of products and your products in particular over the last several years. So, if you would, just maybe a little explanation as to how that differentiates from what you've seen in some other areas.
Oh, I can't say enough about your team. We're really excited about working with you guys and working with Chris and Mark. But your team, you got the perfect team there. You got Matt, who's got all that experience in the RV industry from Indiana, and then you got, I can't say enough about your team, first of all, but yeah, Chris, he is an amazing mechanic. I was really amazed because, I mean, that's, the installation is just important as the parts, because if you install our stuff, no matter how good it is, if you don't install it right, it's going to give us a bad name.
Sure.
So we were really excited about working with you guys. We heard a lot of good things about you, and that's why I was, seeking you out. It took us some time to get together. But when we did the installation, I say Chris is very, very thorough. I mean, he really does a nice, clean job, and it looks like it's supposed to be that way, because we've had issues in the past sometimes where people install it wrong, and like I say, we have to end up trying to help them out, because it's going to make us look bad. But no, hey, Chris is amazing. And I wanted to add one more thing. We found out after we did the install that some of the other people that are doing the conversions on these Lippert ABS systems, they leave the module in, and I sent you guys that information, and they basically go around the module and still keep the module because all the lights to the trailer. Well, we were told that there's no way to do it. We needed to get the module back. Well, Chris figured out a way to do it without putting the module back.
Yeah.
So, he's a really sharp guy. Yeah, I really enjoyed watching him work and getting to know him and everything. It's a really good experience.
Yeah, that was an interesting phone call. I was on a bus in Nashville on my way to dinner, and I think it was Troy called me, kind of, like, oh man, we've got an issue, and I was like, just give him a minute. If the problem just came up, I don't want to minimize the problem, but I would tell you I have a ton of faith in the guy that's probably about to be the one to solve it for you. So just give him a minute to think about it, and he'll get you squared away.
I think my favorite part of it was at the end when we finally got the little leak fixed, and then he figured out the trailer lights and everything, got it all done, and he was just sitting down. He stared at me for a second, and he said, "Can I put my tools up now?"
Yeah. So one of the things that I had mentioned both to you, Troy, and then to you two, Chris and Martha, before we started, that we do have a different expectation of what that finished product should look like. We've done enough of these now. Again, this was Parker working on a first time shot on the particulars of the Deemaxx system,
right.
And which to this day he's still singing the praises of the equipment.
That's good.
That he's really looking forward to getting more of these projects on the books, but that we wanted to make sure that everybody knew, like, that our install, it may even take a little bit longer than some of the industry standard type of ideas. Like some guys are like, oh, I can do it in X amount of hours or whatnot.
Right.
And I hope at least that everybody at this point understands what I meant by, like, if it takes a little bit longer, it won't be because of any lack of capability. It'll be purely a matter of making sure that finished product is in line with what we expect to provide, both the provider of the equipment, Troy, for, like you said,
right.
We want to make sure that we do right by you guys, but the finished customer who's going to have this trailer and be using this product for years to come, hopefully, that it looks right and that it is put together and installed on your coach in a way that everything is free from the potential for road hazard, which is, I think, one of the biggest things that happen. We all know that things happen on the road, tires give out, or, you get debris or whatnot. And any of those lines that are exposed and subject to something flapping up underneath the coach, whether it's to hit the axle, where brake lines are run in an exposed fashion, crossing from one side to the other, or just the distance from the actuator where that fluid is moving through the system back down to the actual system.
Right.
So, we wanted to make sure that everybody understood if it takes a little bit longer, in the end, I think that the finished product will be well worth the wait. So, so what I'm gonna put Martha on the spot here, because I think that she's the video editor. So we made some accommodations to try to make sure that Chris and Martha would be able to have access to the shop and to be able to do some video recording and whatnot of the entire process. So how was that from your side, Miss Martha?
So it was great. I love that access. The first thing I noticed before we put our trailer in there was how big and open and clean it was in there. So I love how everything had a spot, and to me that just shows that you guys care about your workshop and your customers. And having access to record everything was great because I got to see the whole process. I'm not as mechanically inclined as my husband, but it gave me a better appreciation for what you guys do. The whole process, it was definitely worth the time. And I love doing the before and after testing because it just opened my eyes to see that before it was, I know Chris was complaining beforehand when we left Indiana, go down to Texas, went to Florida, back to Texas, and like how when people cut us off and just braking, we know it's not safe. But afterwards, just the difference in driving, it's not as stressful for him because we are now able to stop very safely and quickly.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say on behalf of Chris, he encountered what he said was his first Lippert ABS system, and I know it's a relatively new. So not only was he dealing with the Deemaxx product that he wasn't super familiar with, he's dealing with an RV that was wired completely different than what historically you've seen. The Lippert ABS system actually has a secondary harness that goes into that control module, and he was able, his extensive knowledge of just RV manufacturing as a whole and knowing how these things work, he was able to go right to our pen box and go, okay, here's where they wired in an extra green wire, an extra yellow wire, a red wire, and was able to diagnose that, remove the wires, wire it like a traditional fifth wheel, remove the module without any problems. So he actually had a solution that the techs in the field that we personally know hadn't even figured out yet. So a big shout out to him and just his extensive knowledge. And then he even went a step further, which I think is something that probably won't show up in the video, but it's something that I think your audience needs to know, is he took us over and showed, okay, here's the wires I moved. Here's where it was originally. Here's where it is now. I left the other ones, capped them off. And so if we ever had to do anything on our system, he's already showed us exactly where to go to revert back to what we had prior to from the factory. And we haven't, we've been on the road for several thousand miles since this install, and we've had zero problems. It has been excellent.
Awesome. Well, that's great to hear. I know that we're all going to be on pins and needles to see the final product of the content that you guys are able to create with that. So for everybody out there, Martha, give us how everybody can find you guys on social media. Just to make it as easy as possible for a dummy like myself. I have to keep I have my own right here. I got my own tag on there in case I forget it.
So we tried to make it simple. It's Venturesome Couple, and we're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. VenturesomeCouple.com, and just Venturesome Couple.
Awesome. I saw your solar video that I think just went up recently this morning. As a matter of fact, when I was in early, I try to do as much of our social media stuff as I can before the store actually opens, while I actually have a little bit of ownership of my own time. But really looking forward to seeing that and to keeping track of you guys, in your journeys going forward, and just know that now you'll always have a home at least in this part of the world. You've always got a home to come. We'll help out with anything and everything that we can, whether it's on the Alliance piece or the Deemaxx piece or anything else that might pop up. We want to make sure that you guys understand that we consider you guys part of the family at this point. So you're kind of stuck with us no matter whether you like it or not. So Troy, as we kind of start to wrap this thing up, if you would, man, just tell everybody how they can find Deemaxx and the way that you guys' distribution of products and everything works, whether it's directly through you or through your distribution network.
Sure. You can go to www.deemaxx.com to our website, and you can look for installers or distributors, and you just put in a zip code, and it'll pop up. So you guys should already be on there right now. But you put in Navasota zip code, you guys will come up and it'll say distributor/installer both. And if you have do-it-yourselfers out there, which we do, it's people that are mechanically inclined. We even got a drop-down menu that you just look at find the product you need, and it asks you, what kind of trailer, what your axle manufacturer is, axle capacity, lug nut size, lug bolt size, all that, and you just answer all those, and just the kits that will fit your particular trailer will pop up on there.
Awesome.
That's pretty handy. One thing that we did forget to mention, or I did forget to mention earlier, was the test when we did the conversion.
You beat me to it. I was trying to figure out how to double back.
Okay, pre-test and post-test. So, the Lippert ABS, and they're new, so they probably worked better than old drum brakes, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
So we just used the brake controller, not the truck, and 40 miles an hour, and the Lippert ABS drum brakes stopped in 480 feet. And then after the conversion, we went out and we did it with the Deemaxx disc brakes. Same thing, just using the brake controller, 40 miles an hour. It got down to 293 feet.
And that came out to what, like 42% improvement?
That's right about 40%, yeah. And then, the lag time, there's a tiny little bit of lag time when you hit the brake controller. But if you're using your actual vehicle brakes, you hit your vehicle brakes and you're already stopping, and then by the time you start stopping with your vehicle brakes, that pump's going to kick in, and it's fast.
Yeah,
very fast.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable difference for any of you out there considering the difference between a traditional drum braking system and a disc braking system on your towable. I would just be the first to tell you, I'm a huge proponent for it. I'm really excited to be partnered up with a company like Deemaxx. And Chris, I tell you, you mentioned it earlier, or maybe Martha mentioned it, but the difference in the peace of mind as the driver. I'm going to get you to speak to that. You guys, you said you've already put a couple of 1,000 miles on this thing since you were here, and this was what, 3 weeks ago. So that's a lot of windshield time. So tell us, Chris, just what is that difference? Put it to words, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it really, unfortunately or fortunately, we always get cut off, right? I guess that's unfortunate. But inevitably, when you're towing, you're going to get cut off. And the stopping distance before with the drum brakes, we would get brake fade really bad. So as the brakes would heat up in an emergency stop, they would perform worse and worse and worse. And it was to the point where we got cut off in Atlanta prior to coming over to TNS that I had the truck brakes as slammed as I could. I had the brake controller slammed at 10, and I still barely stopped within probably 2 feet of hitting a car that cut me off and then just slammed on the brakes because there was no room for them to be there. The unfortunate part for us is that there's nothing you can do about it when you have drums. It's a hold-on moment, and that is a scary position to be in. We have a 42-foot fifth wheel. It's 19,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating, and we're using a 1-ton dually. So stopping this is like stopping a semi. And to know that you have a product that performs worse as you use it is a scary place to be, to the point where I didn't want Martha to tow. And she does tow regularly. And so knowing that we previously had the Deemaxx brakes, we knew exactly what we didn't have. And so switching back over to a disc brake, which was the smartest thing we could have done, has made it now, like Troy said, when I hit the truck brakes, by the time the truck basically stops or gets to the point where it's engaging its brakes, the actuator on the disc brakes for the trailer engage, and our stopping distance using truck and trailer, it's got to be sub 200 feet. It is amazing. I had to turn my gain down to 3 because at 5.5, the trailer was stopping the truck.
That's a high-class problem.
So that's the problem you want to have. But I'm not afraid to have Martha drive because I know in an emergency situation, those brakes are going to perform excellent.
That's great. The peace of mind, you've got the true safety factor, but then that peace of mind and just knowing that when that unexpected does come on, because it's not an if, it's a when. You said it. You're going to get cut off. Yeah. My father-in-law drove a truck for 30 years, and he still to this day, and I've picked it up from him, when he says goodbye, and because he knows we're going somewhere on the road, the last thing out of his mouth is watch out for the other guy. Mm-hmm. Because it's and so often in the RV space, when people get into those panic stop moments, they're not doing anything wrong. Just like you said, it's nothing I don't know what was I supposed to do? I'm traveling at a safe distance to the car in front of me. And now when somebody else inserts themselves into the equation, the math is all gone, Right. So, and that person and in our current times when everybody's on their phones and Matt and I, we live in a college town, so we see it every day. We've got 18-year-old kids going 85 miles an hour while they're texting and watching TikToks at the same time. So, we want to make sure that we can do anything that we possibly can here at TNS to provide opportunities and provide options for all of our customers to put themselves in the safest possible scenario. And it's situations like this. It's products like Deemaxx high performance brakes that are giving us that. I want to make sure that I take a second here, Troy, and make sure that everybody listening understands. Deemaxx is spelled DEEMAXX. Right. I butchered that in countless emails and text messages to you guys, and I apologize, but I've kind of finally got it sorted out in my head.
I've actually done it a few times myself.
Yeah. So, really appreciate you guys coming on, Chris and Martha.
Thank you.
And Troy. Troy's with us by phone because we've had all kinds of technical issues, and he's traveling today down in the South Texas Valley. So thank you for making the effort, Troy, and I'm glad we were able to find a way to make that all come together. Matt, congratulations on another Monday. I'm sure you sounds like you got Noah's flood waiting for you in the back.
Yeah, every time I've looked down, it's because there's a message or a call coming in.
Right.
I'm just excited to be partnered with Deemaxx, and really between them and TNS, we're going to set the standard in this install process. Yeah. Well,
Chris and Martha, again, thank you for your time. You guys have the safest of travels, and we'll all be looking out for when that stuff comes out. We'll obviously be rebroadcasting anything that you guys have, trying to just share your stuff in general because it's all quality stuff and very wholesome. I love it. So and while we're here, we've had a big love fest for the Venturesome couple and for Deemaxx and TNS. Let's stop and throw a shout out to Coley Brady and the boys up at Alliance for building a great trailer, giving us a good platform to work on. Really enjoy those guys. Coley is our longest standing partner in the manufacturing space. He was at the helm at Heartland what feels like 500 years ago, but it really wasn't that long ago. He's the one who signed off on TNS having an opportunity to be new RV retailers in the space. So we're eternally grateful to him for that. Nice. If nobody's got anything else, I'd like to wrap us up. We close everything that we do, guys, with a prayer. And so Troy, are you all square on your end?
Yes, sir. I'd just like to say thanks again. We're really excited about the opportunity of partnering with you guys. Really excited.
Awesome.
I think it's going to be big.
Awesome. Well, I'll take us home, guys.
All right.
So, dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today. We are thankful. We're thankful for the opportunities that you bring us daily. We're thankful for the challenges that you bring us daily because they force us into situations that reveal our character and they reveal our true beliefs, and we cherish those challenges. Lord, we ask that you would continue to bless everybody that's represented here today, between Chris and Martha and their travels and their ventures that they've got, and Troy as he travels in his work with Deemaxx, but all the people, all the hands who touch these products. We ask that you would continue to bless them, keep us all safe. and continue to bring those challenges to bear for us and give us the opportunity to work them out in a way that would make you proud. We ask all these things of and through our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Guys, best of travels. Seriously, have
Thank
fun.
you.
Thank you so much.
Keep sending pictures and videos and everything, and we'll keep trying to spread the good word of the Venturesome couple.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm editing
All
the
right.
video now, so looking
Awesome.
forward to sending you guys a copy.
We can't wait to see it. Thank you, Troy. Be safe going home, brother.
Thank you, brother. Hey, Tim, we're done recording, right?
We're about to be.
Okay.
Hang tight.